Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Tuesday, February 6th, 2024, and I call the meeting to order at 12:02 p.m. We are looking at the agenda, and since it's myself and Mr. McKim here, we have a quorum present, but just wanted to look over the agenda to see if there's any changes that need to be made. Not at this time. Seeing none, can I get a motion or a call to adopt the agenda?
Move we adopt the agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So, item number 3, election of chair. I know, well, I guess
I nominate Jen Crossley as chair.
Sure. All right, I humbly accept that motion. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. All right. Moving on for item number 4, Veterans Affairs. Mr. Miller is here present. So if you want to go ahead and start with your presentation. Thank
Good morning. Thank you for having us today. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and especially in person. I really appreciate it. We have requested a job review of and change for what was our benefits coordinator position and moving it to a deputy director of assistant veteran service officer position. We submitted all the required documents in November, and this month WIS has replied back that they would like to, their recommendation is to move the job from a COMOP position to PAT A. I apologize that I've not been through this process before, so I'm not sure what else you would like to know from me.
you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I'll open it up for any questions.
I actually thought it was pretty straightforward. I mean, the changes were straight, and the WIS memo was straightforward. And
Yeah. The only thing that I guess, and I understand it
Yes, ma'am.
from, I know an email that was sent out, in the WIS review, it had mentioned increased responsibility of positions and additional substantial new requirements of outreach and community involvement. Can you speak to that?
Yes, so part of our plan for this year is to move to take part in more outreach and community involvement projects. So things that we're doing is we're going to be at the VA clinic every other Friday. Andrew's taking on additional responsibilities with specifically we've been doing trips out to the Indiana Center for Recovery to help folks there do other projects very similar to that. That's what the part of the outreach and engagement looks like, and also kind of being part of the different veteran service organizations as well. So attending monthly meetings and being a part so that they know that we exist and can participate that way.
excellent.
All right, thank you. And I will note that Marty Hawk is in attendance.
I thought you were not going to be here. I was told you were not, so I changed my plans. Somebody should have told you. I was supposed to go to Indianapolis.
I thought I sent that email out saying that Jennifer would be.
Okay. All right, so moving on. Marty, to get you up to speed, we just went over the Veteran Affairs list recommendations. Did you have anything to add or any questions?
No.
Okay.
So I move we forward the veterans deputy director, assistant veteran service officer position to the council with the WIS recommendation and with our support.
Second. And then all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I had one additional question. I apologize. It probably was out of turn here. When we initially sent this, we requested should move to 40 hours as well. Is that an additional step in the process that we'll have to deal with later, or?
This item will then go to the county council and you'll make that request during the council because that's a fiscal duty.
Understood. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And just to know, We normally put it on the next council meeting.
Okay.
So is the February 13th meeting
Absolutely.
good for you to attend?
Absolutely.
Right. Anything else?
No, ma'am, thank you
All right.
very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Moving on, we have the Health Department, Ms. Lori Kelly, for review of the WIS recommendations. I know we got those here, so if you just wanted to go over that.
You'll get a couple of extra chairs here. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you.
Is she prepared? She was just putting you up. She wanted to wait.
Just 'cause I think the health officer was gonna be late. So I think that, we've had a discussion and the consensus is we would like to not move forward with the updated job description edits, based upon the feedback provided from WIS. And we're looking for some direction on the next path forward.
Well, okay, I guess, what's your goal then? Is it, what is it that you're unhappy with as far as the WIS recommendations? They seem pretty straightforward.
Sure. Well, I do feel very strongly about the vital records division. I do feel based upon the duties, particularly the increased duties with opting into Health First Indiana, that those should be classified as a PAT level. In addition, the registrar plays a vital role. And my consensus is that the position should really be classified as a manager. If you compare that job description to, for example, the population health and outreach manager, many of those duties are very similar.
Is that a higher class?
Yes.
Well, so what I guess what's the issue? Were the actual duties of the position not accurately reflected in the questionnaire that went to WIS, or what? I guess what are they missing?
Well, I think that that's kind of where we're looking for some feedback.
I mean, in general, it seems that particularly in moving from Comet to PAT, that tends to be predicated on independence of decision making and qualifications required for the position. I mean, are there some like degree requirements or something that's not accurately reflected in here? And then there's some independence of decision making that's not accurately reflected.
I think that that's a possibility. So I have been working with our vital records division on creating a tally sheet here of some of the typical job duties and tasks that may not have been accurately reflected to be able to present just the depth that's required. In addition, there are new state requirements, the drive system. Vital Records recently had to develop a workaround. We had an internal system that failed, and they had to essentially create a program in order for us to be able to issue records, anything dating 2007 and beyond. If they had not developed that program and workaround, we would not be issuing those certificates. In my opinion, that's kind of above and beyond what a comment would be classified as.
I yield to others.
Okay.
If my questions were answered.
Could I ask you, are you now describing the position where it had updates as of February 1? The updates that which one are you? I saw one where there was a lot of lines drawn through and different job descriptions entered as of February 1. And so the rest of them looked as if you hadn't requested a change. So are you asking for all of them to go back for review, or just the one, or what's your choice?
So I think that given the job descriptions can't be reviewed again for a year, we feel that if we were to push some of them through and then move forward with creating new positions, and it could potentially cause restructuring, that then we would not be able to update those, which then could affect essentially both new positions that we would like to request and current positions. I think with the financial manager job description, I think it's very challenging. Currently, we have 24 grants for that position. So I know that it's compared to other financial manager positions in the county, but I don't understand how that classification can be the same given the extensive amount of grant work that goes into that position. So I think it's hard to determine what that job description should actually be for the health department.
I'm sorry, give me a second to find. Do we know what page in the packet that is? The health, the financial manager. Yeah, it looks like that's the one you were talking about.
Yeah.
That's the one that had all the red.
Manager
All of those
changes.
changes.
You
I
what?
don't know if they want to review those.
When I reviewed it, I thought, okay, what are we doing? I was just gonna,
For clarity, I think the one that was updated on February 1st was the administrative assistant.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's
the
changes.
So let's go back. So
so, well, when I reviewed it, it looked as if it was the only one was the one where the changes that had been made in February 1 would be the one that was being requested to go back. Yeah, sounds like a set for
Financial manager.
asking
Is-
all of us to go back, so.
is the financial manager, is that a 35-hour or a 40-hour position?
That's 35 hours.
I mean, I know that that's not a PAC issue, but I'm more inclined to support moving from 35 hours to 40 hours than beefing up a classification that probably isn't necessarily merited if the goal is to get to get more compensation. I generally support moving from 35 to 40 hours in general. I don't like the old 35-hour system.
Well, we certainly could in that department, I would agree, right? I mean, revenue's going to be such that you can do that.
Right, exactly. So I mean, that's my, I don't know if that resolves some of your issues, and I'm just one counselor, but I'm definitely much more inclined to support that kind of move.
I definitely think that would solve some of our issues. There is an analysis there, just basic time spent on general duties in the black and white copy. So that shows even without, that's just grants and payroll. It breaks down to 40 hours a week. Currently, that position has been getting comp time, or I have to send the individual home, or they have to burn comp time, which can cause some issues. In addition, with being 35 hours, if I were to have that individual, for example, attend a council session for me, then that means I have to cut hours somewhere else in the week, or that position is going to run into an overtime issue. Whereas I'm not going to get overtime. So it doesn't matter if I spend 3 or 4 hours in county meetings. It does for that position.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, that's my personal, as one counselor, that's my advice, is to seek 40 hours for positions that you can justify it for. And I mean, it seems to me like you'd be easily able to justify it. And you've got the revenue to support it too. I don't know what others think.
I would agree with that. Okay, go sign in. Okay. Any other questions? Dr. Britton?
If I could just say something, I'm Steve Pritchard, board chair. The new Health First law has put a tremendous amount of new workload on the department. Employees are still working at the same level that they always were, the same classification. But the amount of work, it has increased, not exponentially, but to a great deal. We have over 221 reporting criteria that we now have for this new law. that we have to report to the state. That's a state issue, not necessarily locally, but it still is work that has to be done in the department. We're trying to retain people, and as noted in previous meetings and in the media, we've had some turnover in the last year. Some of it needed to happen, some of it didn't need to happen. But part of what has happened is when the job fails to get reclassified, the workload is increased, and the employee becomes discontented. And then they're looking for a new position. So that's part of the genesis here of us. We're looking for maybe some criteria on some of these job descriptions that would allow WIS to reclassify these jobs to a higher pay rate. And I understand exactly, I think I do understand that your point is that some of the duties have to change, or maybe it's other responsibilities and educational requirements. I mean, I get that. We're trying to find a way to compensate these people for the huge workload they're doing. Or we can create some new positions to assist people in these areas. That's also a possibility. Maybe that's what you were going to suggest. But we need some guidance here. I mean, we feel like Lori's putting in all this work trying to get jobs reclassified, trying to get people paid more, and then we get it all rejected. So that's basically wasted time. And we don't want to keep wasting your time and our time, because our time is really precious, as yours is, with all these new requirements. So maybe you have suggestions for us.
What I was going to suggest, and I think it's what Jeff had alluded to, is when WIS looks at something, they look at the response. It's not like the amount of work.
Right.
Because they just say, just hire more. Don't be paying overtime. Don't be doing, hire more people. That's how it's classified. And to get it changed, and if you believe there's a need for a change for that classification, it really is going to have to be, they are responsible for decision making or something of the sort. And you'll be able to review that. And believe me, I feel your pain. I've been through this with another department licensed for 6 months. I don't want you guys to have to go through that. And so I'm open to suggestions from,
Aye.
and Mr. Britton has it.
Yeah, sorry, Leslie. To echo Steve's points and Lori's, we went into this this SB1 or Health First Indiana, knowing that there's a pot of money that's going to be available with some stipulations, requirements, and a lot of extra work, and money that from the state. The governor actually wanted more than the state was granted, but about $1.5 million came to the county to implement the stipulations of Health First Indiana. And there were some performance expectations for that. But at the end of the day, it tallies into more work for the department. With the same personnel and classification and hours of restricted work that can be done in order to accomplish those extra requirements. And so a thing, like Marty alluded to, is to bring in more people. I think Lori's position is something that could easily justify a deputy administrator.
Yes.
And relieve her of doing some of the busy work that doesn't require her level of expertise to do. That at one example, and there's other departments that will benefit from the same. But at the end of the day, if these people are doing more work and more is expected of them, it's only fair, I think, that they be compensated better. So,
I guess I'll go back to, and pretty much agree with everything that Marty said on this. You know, that the classification of positions really is more about qualifications and independent scope of judgment and expertise rather than just amount of work. Just simply increasing the volume doesn't by itself increase a classification. Now, it does lend itself to an argument for more hours. If you're on 35 hours and you can't get the work done because you've got more work, then that makes an easier argument for going to 40 hours. So that's, and then also for additional positions to, to take some of the workload off. So, if the organization of your department, if a chief deputy, elected officials have statutory chief deputies that kind of take some of the load off of the elected official. Other department heads don't have a statutory right to that, but that may be an organizational form you want to consider that would take some of the work off some of the other positions. That's kind of, but with the county compensation system, Comet in health department is the same as a Comet in parks department, is the same as a Comet in assessment. We don't, the assessor's office, we don't think, well, we really need to pay the health department Comets more because they do a higher volume of work. That's just not the way that the system, I mean, there are other systems we could possibly adopt, but that's not the one we have. And it would require a radical restructuring of the entire county compensation system.
I'm not, and I don't think anybody here is asking the county to revamp their entire system. It's been a long time since the health departments had a revamping of the work that they do and the classification within that doing and what they're expected to do. And I think that's what Lori and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, is part of what you're coming at. The council to say, we've been incrementally increasing those requirements without a compensatory increase in salary.
I mean, are there more responsibilities that could be consolidated together that could maybe get one position upgraded and then add another position to backfill all the business, the quote unquote busy work? I think that was the term that one of you used.
The other thing I might suggest is, I know the rule is you're only supposed to come back like once a year. However, this is a situation where your department is in flux. It is a major change for how that operates, different from the rest of the county, although we're in flux in all departments, but even more so. I mean, we've been waiting to see what would happen. And maybe you really don't know right now. You've not had it or lived it long enough, and there's going to be changes. And so I would suggest that we might be open to hearing and not forcing you to wait an entire year. Once you've got it figured out exactly how it should work and best work. That's just a suggestion I would have. I don't want you to feel like you're stuck for a whole year and trying to wade through a mess that you don't even know what the mess is yet.
That's a great point. There's not that rule is not set in stone. That's just a council rule. The council can waive that rule in situations where it makes sense. So.
And we are only 4 months into the new law with the new requirements. So we are still discovering things, as you mentioned. So
thank you. Aurora Diori, I'm the vice president of the health board. So it sounds like from what I'm hearing from everyone, that one of the things we've been talking about in the board with Lori, with Dr. Britton, is the idea of looking at the current structure, taking into account what we anticipate will be all of the new responsibilities from the new state funding, and figuring out, just as you suggested, does she need a deputy? Do we need to change the way the org chart looks, for example? And I guess I appreciate your support for that. I do think that's something that we should begin taking a look at and adding more positions, because we know there will be more work. And we know that next year there will be more money and there will probably be more work. And it's all wonderful. We're excited about it because we're going to have the best health department ever. But it sounds like we might need to take a look at this in a different way than we've been approaching it. And I appreciate the flexibility of being able to come back to you less than a year, and it sounds okay.
I feel comfortable with the fact that we could potentially be able to come back in less than a year. I think that one key point that is important to remember and discuss when we are talking about new positions is that I don't have room. I don't even have room for the 2 new positions that I have.
Yeah, we're gonna have a physical space issue.
So I can't even fill those positions because I don't have anywhere to put people. So kind of creating more additional positions is not going to help me because I don't have anywhere to put them. And there is a thought of too many cooks in the kitchen, so to say, in some areas too, that then you have so many people kind of working on some of those. I mean, how do you divide up some of those things? And if I don't have anywhere to keep divisions working together, then that also causes, fragmented workflows. I'm really stuck right now with what I'm even going to do with these 2 new positions that I actually need. I need people filling those services, and I don't have a physical location for them.
Are you talking with the commissioners about, because the commissioners have
Yes.
100% control over space.
Yes, and I know that there's an option at Showers, but I also don't want to make people move that don't want to move. And so then that's, what do we do? And if we have a larger section, are we going to move 2 or 3 people to one area? It's really it's a challenge right now that I think we're trying to overcome. I do feel very strongly with vital records, with those job descriptions, that I just must not have gotten the work in the descriptions that WIS needs to see to be able to see that high level of work that's being done. If I don't have that division, we are not open and serving the public, period. If I don't have my registrar, I can't balance the accounts. I can't write checks to put all of our income in the accounts that I need to. We're not issuing certificates. I have to have that division, and they're not just data entry clerks.
If you should end up with a deputy director or whatever kind of title we got, it would be important for that person to learn how to write job descriptions. Because we see that throughout the county. If it's not somebody's expertise, that's not something they do every day, and suddenly it's hard for you to run a department if you don't know how to write the job descriptions. And I'm not finding fault with you, that's not what you got hired to do. But I think that is something that has to happen. The other thing is this: we know that health building is where you have to be, because we can't use that health building for anything. I mean, that doesn't actually belong to us without the largest, how we upcoming got that building. So somehow or the other, there's more square foot there in that building than what your office is using. So you might want to meet with the commissioners and say, how can we parcel out some of this? Because that's not our job.
There is, I know that's, like Marty said, that's not our, within our responsibility, but isn't there some upstairs space that's now available that didn't used to be?
Yes, and I do have employees who would move up there if it's, there's some abatement, some lead issues that need to be taken care of, and some cleaning up and painting. But I do have some who said that they would be willing to go up and use that space if it was cleaned up.
Well, I would urge you to talk to the commissioners about that one. But then again, my other recommendation is it literally, if they do not have time to get the work done in 35 hours, look at making it 40 hours. That's a decent increase in compensation. I know it's more hours, more work, but it is, if that's what it actually takes to get the job.
And I think Lori and I had talked that there's a few of her people that are putting over the 35 and stuff. So that might be a good move to make anyway.
I think it's 35. Yep, it's 30.
It was before my time.
How did the 35 hours come to be about?
Oh, well, because the county had no money, as you know, and years and years ago, when Tim Tilton was county commissioner, oh, he put it out there, we're gonna move everybody to 40 hours. Had no idea, now this professor's supposed to be, had no idea this county could not go to 40 hours. Where does money gonna come from?
It was decades and decades ago that decision was made to, what?
And then,
Sorry.
Careful, she was there.
there were a lot of people who worked for county government, who also like 35 hours. They wanted to be home with their family a little more time. So that was part of our drawing,
Yeah.
that we were able to get that.
But nowadays, it doesn't, with a lot of departments, we were seeing it just doesn't give enough hours to get the job done. And people with, younger people with student loans and that sort of thing don't, they care about the total amount of compensation. That 5 hours doesn't benefit them so much.
Depends on, it all depends on revenue, and if we lose a bunch of revenue during this whole annexation debacle, then who knows?
The only thing that I would just add to the conversation is, just as what Jeff was saying, I know it's not ideal of what you are wanting to have. But if there is a way to do something now where we can get those hours increased from 35 to 40, I would say we could go for it, and do so, as soon as possible. I know that's not like everything that is wanted, but it could help with a lot of different things. And I get the whole idea of having comp time, having a flex time, and how that can affect office, and that also affects staff, which also affects what you can do. It's a trickle down effect. I get that. I work in an office where that happens all the time. So that being said, I think this was a good conversation, and hopefully we can go back to the drawing board, and work with your board and figure out how we can look at different things. Because I think we're all in support of trying to help you. But right now, we just have to look at things as they come about. And as they come about, we can figure those out. All right, anything else in this conversation?
I'm a long-serving member of the health board. My name's George Hageman, and I have some perspective on history and things like that. And it strikes me that the Health First Indiana initiative is a qualitative change, not really a quantitative change in the opportunities available through the health board. And I would like to see we do not lose momentum in achieving some of these bright new goals that have been already set by Lori, and issues with personnel turnover and things like that always beset the department. They always have, and probably always will, but particularly with the low pay and high cost of living in the area. But I generally agree with everything that's been said so far. I think we really are in a new era as far as Health First Indiana is concerned. It's state money, and it's available to us to use to improve health services in the county. Let's go for it.
Agree. Thank you. All right, thank you. All right.
So, I guess, Lori, then I'll work with you and Dr. Britton, and we'll just start a, and then we'll, with the board. Not like that, but I mean, just kind of, let's org chart, and then we'll just move from there. So see what you guys need to move forward.
Yeah, but I'm sure the council will not want to hold you to some kind of year
No.
rule like that while things are constantly changing. So, great.
So,
Thank you all.
Lisa Ridge. Hello.
Hello. So we have some open positions. We've maintained our mechanic position open since fleet changed. And then we continuously have truck driver positions open. We used to have labor positions in the department, and for some reason, years past, they did away with those. Now with the CDL changes and that going into effect, I think it was in 2021, It's really expensive to get a CDL license for one. And when we interview truck drivers, we have to stress to them the way our shop works is they're most likely going to be flagging. I mean, they're at the bottom of the seniority. We try and rotate them around as much as we can. However, they're not coming to the county to be a truck driver. You're not going to be in a truck 8 hours. And that's what sometimes that if they've been driving trucks for 10 years, that's all they do. They go to Young Trucking, they drive a truck. If they go over the road, they drive a truck. They don't get out, they don't flag, they don't drag brush, they don't trim trees. So we kind of want to step back and see about taking 2 existing open positions, making them into this new classification, which would not require a CDL license to come in and to start working for the county. But they have the opportunity. So we took the steps to become a CDL training facility. And then we also sent one of our employees to LTAP to go through and be what you call behind the wheel trainer. So if we have a candidate that we want to invest in, we can provide that training to get them their CDL license not at a $5,000 cost either. So we kind of look at if we do this with these 2 positions, they don't have to have a CDL license. If they show the, I guess the encouragement that they want to get a CDL license, possibly to move up to a higher paying job as a truck driver, that opportunity is there within our organization. Then we're not sending somebody to a $5,000 school. They're already working for us. We don't have to have a commitment from them to repay. We're also getting duties out of them in return, while they might want to try and get that CDL license. So that's kind of where we're at. We just kind of wanted to take 2 of those open ones and put them at the bottom of the grid where we already have LTC Highway A. This would be at that same pay as that position. We could still utilize the 2 laborers in the winter because we have pickup trucks with plows. They don't require CDL, but then we can still get the snow removal assistance in the, if it's a full call out, what we would call every employee has to come in. They wouldn't be subject to that rotating call out list because they would probably have to have a CDL license to do that. So we also had taken the step with Jeff and Molly, and the union voted on it last week. They accepted the change in their contract for the rotating call out list that you have to have a CDL license. So anybody that comes into these positions will already know they cannot be on that because they don't have a CDL. But if we did a full call out in the winter, they could come in and drive a pickup truck to be able to get some of that overtime. So it's new for us. I don't feel like it's going backwards of creating labor positions. I feel like it's a asset to the department, and also the truck drivers that we have, we can rotate them more, that they're not the ones that are at the bottom are not constantly flagging. Their main goals, main duties are going to be flagging and then brushing.
Just anything. They can do anything out there besides getting the CDL vehicle, right? That would be our goal.
Yep.
So a lot of brush removal.
Yeah.
They can mow, they can patch, they can, they can drive any other vehicle that doesn't require a CDL. And also, they can learn, they can see that what's going on. And it can be a CDL person that has that maybe wants to get their foot in the door and look for a truck driver job that opens up and they can move up.
So your thought is that people wouldn't necessarily be in this position for forever, that they might get in there and be interested in moving up. I mean, they could.
I think we'll get both.
Yeah.
We'll I think we'll get both, but what we'll get out of is that bottom rung of guys that have this certification feeling like they're not doing what they want, That's where our turnover is, the bottom 4 or 5 truck driver positions, because they're used as laborers, and we let them know that this is what's going to happen. This is where you're going to do most of the time. You're not going to see a truck for a while until snow, and that's usually fine for 6 months.
It sounds to me like this is rather an incentive to be able to have someone to come and know that given if it all works out, that they would have the opportunity then to learn and because being able to get that license is such an expensive thing to do. So would this person, if it was chosen, I don't know how you're going to choose it, somebody think you're playing games or something, who had the opportunity, but would that be a free?
I mean, I think it could be. I mean, because for one, they're already going to be, and we have a CDL policy. We haven't ever done it yet, just because we just now got our person trained and got the facility licensed. I guess we haven't thought if they would have to sign anything. I kind of doubt it because they're already, for one, I would say, this is just my opinion. They would already be on our payroll. They're getting full pay.
Yeah.
They have the opportunity, like even a truck driver could move up to an equipment operator. This is the same, that if you have those qualifications, then you could be a laborer moving to a truck driver with the right qualifications.
Yeah.
And if we're using them on a daily basis where they're going to ride with somebody in a dump truck all day, patching and everything, they're going to get more hands-on experience by just being in that environment. And then we don't have to pay to get that CDL license. It's going to be time, but they're already on our clock. And we'd probably have to work out some of the bugs, but I think I think we would get more candidates by having those two positions without a CDL.
Yeah.
And again, you might get somebody that that's all they want to do. We've had guys in the past that I don't want to do anything else but flag. Very seldom. But you could get more candidates that fulfill that position, and we might not have any turnover at all. And if that's where they're happy at and it works, that's great.
So essentially, this is like an entry level position. You don't have to have a CDL license, but eventually, like if a person wanted to, they could move up within the department and then get the CDL if they desire.
If we have an open position, we would be open to it.
Well, and also give us the opportunity to be able to decide whether we want to invest in that person or not.
Yeah.
Not just, hey, we're going to just out of the blue, we're just going to wing the first guy who's in here and he's going to get a CDL and 2 weeks later, he's going to be gone.
And we have heard other entities that do pay that $5,000 for them to go to the school, and they've lost some of those employees. Now, do they go after him for that to get that reimbursement? Will they ever see it? I don't know. But I think money-wise, I think it's a good approach to it. And I think it's tackling more than one issue of the CDL license and flagging, which a lot of people don't want to do. But if they know up front, you don't have to have CDL, this is what you're going to do. They're not coming in thinking I'm a truck driver.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to do every day.
What's the entry level wage for that position?
$20.48 is what our maintenance labor position makes right now. So we were bringing them in at that same level.
That would be a good opportunity for somebody who needs a job and doesn't have a CDL. That's
We get a lot of young people that are construction oriented or farm oriented that want to pursue that, but the truck driving thing doesn't. But it's a little different than the truck driving industry. Is we need you to drive some trucks. Some guys, they don't see a truck 6 or 8 times a year, and it's just snowplow.
But this seems to me what a good department head does. You look at what your needs are, you look how you can move things around, and yet you can't just move them around unless it's covered in their job description.
Yeah, I got to give the kudos to right there.
Yeah.
That's who came up with the idea. And, they come up with great ideas, and I just try and see if we can find the funds or the way to do it and go through the process.
Alexa?
I move we forward the traffic control technician labor position to the council with favorable recommendation.
Did
So
you
have to
go
go
to
to
WIS?
Oh, sorry to win, sorry to win. Sorry to WIS for classification.
I was ready to move. We could just.
We probably made it pretty easy for two, because we put the job description in there.
Yeah.
We just pretty well took out the CDL stuff, so
Yeah.
this is just gonna have to copy that job description.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any way we
Yeah.
could save some money or no?
I don't want to bypass the process. That's what the process is.
Yeah, let's.
And we're in
let's spend
winter,
money.
so we just thought it's good timing for us too to do this now, because we know it's a process and it'll take a couple weeks for it to come back from them, and, you know, maybe by May when we get into full, are you guys laughing at me for something?
No.
Full construction season, then, we could have a couple people on board, so.
Nice. All right. Do we need to restate that motion?
For WIS for classification.
Second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
And we're moving into WIS. Thank you. All right, thank you. And then the next up, and the last part of the agenda is the approval of November 7th, 2023 minutes. Did anybody see any changes that need to be made?
Move we approve minutes.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
I don't remember doing that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, without further ado, if there is not anything else, this meeting is adjourned at 12:48.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Hi.